Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall Gruyter. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Excited to be connecting in with you in the month of February. And I really like to focus in on love. And there's all kinds of different ways that we can look at love. And today I wanted to focus in on how are we navigating love, how we love others, how we love what we do, how we love what we're bringing forward in our life, how we're showing up without shrinking back. How do we do that in a way that we're really bringing forward who we truly are and sharing that? That's something every single show I talk to you and I remind you how you are a gift to the world. And so as a gift, you being a gift to the world, how do you show up in a way that you can really fully be who you are, fully love your life and who you are without that sometimes shrinking back or showing up a little bit less? Today, we have an amazing guest who's going to help us navigate these waters. I know you're going to love getting to know her, her heart, her spirit, her expertise, and passion for really helping us fully live the lives and love the lives and fully show up with clarity and purpose in all that we do. So as we connect and come together, I want to invite you to just be still for a moment. Pause, breathe, celebrate that you are here today. You have made it this far in life. And I'm so excited that you're choosing to share this showtime with us, that you're willing to connect in and really engage and be part of our conversation. You're an important part and the reason actually that we have this show and are bringing it forward. So I want you to really choose to connect and feel our connection, feel our love, feel our support. As we breathe together and pause, this is your time, an opportunity for you to be poured into, to receive. You can take off the doing hat, the lists of things that we like to do, just take that off for a moment and just be. This is your time. Allow us to connect in and pour into you. Really being open to receive everything that is here for you. So as I shared, just as you're sitting there breathing, as I shared about how do we fully show up in life, loving ourselves, loving our life, loving how we're showing up without that shrinking back or next time I'll show up more. Just see how that lands with you and what comes up. And as you're pausing and breathing, I invite you to remember there's enough air and oxygen for everybody. Take deep breaths in through the nose, all the way to your toes. Even feel your lungs expanding a little bit, your chest expanding, making room for all of that beautiful oxygen. As you breathe out, releasing all that no longer serves, creating room and space for more. And as you breathe in again and you expand and stretch, you're creating a little more room and space too. How beautiful is that? As you're breathing purposely, mindfully, it helps lower your cortisol levels, those stress levels, and it expands this time and this connection that we have where we get to just be. Close your eyes. You're absolutely safe. In fact, put both hands on your heart. I find it so peaceful and calming to notice your heartbeat and feel it. And as you feel that beat, notice the pause in between each beat. And as you're noticing that pause, see, things are clearing up. I'm creating room and space. As you notice that pause in between the beats, what is it sharing with you? What is it whispering to you? What is it you need today to be more fully who you are? To love yourself and your life more. What is it you need and are willing to receive? Because you have choice. See what your heart has to say to you today. Beautiful. Receive that information. Let's take another deep breath in through the nose. Expanding, stretching your chest and your lungs all the way to your toes. Open up your eyes, fully present, and take a moment to write down what was laid on your heart. What is it that you need and are willing to receive? Beautiful. And I encourage you to keep that page in front of you, to write down things as they pop up within you as we're sharing in our conversation today. Something sparks, something comes up, something I share, the guest shares that really speak to your heart. Take a moment, capture that, write it down, start to bring it into reality. Instead of just swirling around in you, you can start to bring it forward and interact with it and have it become part of who you are. It gives you an opportunity to bring it forward, to start integrating it instead of just adding it to a to-do list. So I'm going to bring Kim on here. I'm welcoming her back. She has been on our show recently, and we're excited to have a full show for this conversation today. Kim, welcome back. Glad to have you joining us. And I'd love for you. Oh, absolutely. And I'd love for you to share what was on your heart when you took a moment to stop, pause, and listen.
You know, I felt so much gratitude. The thing that came up for me was just remembering to be so grateful for the little things. I think sometimes we get focused on the big things, and there's just so many little things to love about life every single day and every single moment.
I love that. We can lose perspective so easily and not see and appreciate those things that are right around us, those little things every day that are there for us to drink in, to enjoy and appreciate. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm really grateful to be back here with you.
We are thrilled and grateful as well to have you joining us again. And I'm excited for our unfolding conversation to bring that forward to our listeners today. And listeners, we're so grateful for you and thankful to have you joining in today. And I wanted you to really think about what are those little things in your life that you can be thankful for, that you know, sometimes we can miss in the busyness of life and the to-do list and all those different things. You know, just take a moment and see what kind of bubbles up when you think about, wow, what is something I can be grateful for that is right here with me now? As we go to our first commercial break, I want to encourage you to stay present. Resist that urge to go off to the to-do list and really stay present. Listen to your heart. See what's coming forward. And we will continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Follow Voice America at facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com and make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, Play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had an opportunity to just be. Listen to your heart, listen to your spirit, see what's coming up. Especially as we think about those things we're grateful for, and we're exploring how are we fully showing up? How are we loving ourselves, others, our life, what we do, how we're showing up? And are there times where we perhaps are shrinking back, showing up a little less fully than perhaps we'd like to? And our amazing guest is an expert in helping us have strategies, which I like that planning part of me. I like to have a plan, strategies to shift this a bit and be able to really be who we are, to fully show up and bring our gifts forward in the world and have that clarity and love our lives and how we're being in them. It's my privilege and honor to introduce our guest more formally, so you know a little bit of her background. If you're just meeting Kim, I know you'll love her. So Kim is a #1 international best-selling author, keynote speaker, strategist, and creator of Strategic Unruliness, a bold framework for breaking the rules that no longer serve us, so we can live and lead with radical clarity, not just kind of being clear, radical clarity. I love it. And she is passionate about helping high-performing women stop shrinking and hiding and start building lives that reflect the full force of who they are. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the powerful, radical, and strategic Kim Bolourtchi to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Wow, that's an amazing introduction.
So welcome. My hands were raised. So I was welcoming you to our virtual stage here. So thrilled to have you joining us.
Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome. And I wanted to start with why. Why is this work of helping women in this way to really be the full force of who they are, that their life is reflecting that they're able to bring that forward? Why is that personally so important to you?
I think this is so important to me because honestly, Rebecca, for so much of my life, I showed up in a smaller version of myself. And I always felt like deep down, I knew that there was more for me and I wanted there to be more for me, but I kept trying to be the person everybody expected me to be. And it was very, very challenging to kind of have both things running at once. Showing up, in the professional buttoned up way that everybody said was going to lead to success. And on the inside, knowing that there was a much bigger, brighter, more creative, more strategic person that was not feeling safe or confident enough to be in the world in that way. And so helping people tap into that is literally my biggest passion in life's work.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm curious, as you made that transition, because that takes courage.
Yeah.
To start to show up maybe differently than people expect, or the traditional view or perspective they have around you, or even how you thought of yourself, and made this shift into being more of who you truly are. How has that changed your life?
It's changed it in really amazing ways, but it's also it's hard in some ways too. And I'll tell you the hard part first.
Okay.
Is that a lot of the people who were there initially are resistant to the new you. And so the people who are used to you being compliant and, doing all the things they expect of you, when you start doing it differently and showing up bigger, they don't love that necessarily. And so you get a lot of the, what are you doing? Come back to the way it was. I liked that. And that's hard. You sort of have to let some of that fall away in order to be brave enough to keep going. However, what happens when you start being more of yourself is that you attract people who really, really are more of the people who will see you and celebrate you and love you for who you are. And opportunities literally start to land in your lap. So for me, when I started being more real, I started being able to do the things I'd always wanted to do, but never thought I really could. My consulting business grew. My ability to help consult with companies and like leaders that I thought were so out of my range, right, started reaching out to me. And so I firmly believe everything you really want is available to you when you are your biggest self.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just giving a moment for that to sink in and remind all of us. And to me, I actually feel this relaxation a little bit, like my shoulders relaxed a little bit, and that assurance that we can really be who we are, and those other pieces fall into place. It almost feels like as you make that shift, there's less striving, less pushing, less trying to make things happen, and more of allowing. Is that a fair summary of some of what I heard?
It is. And you know what? It's so challenging for high achievers who are the go-getters.
Yes.
I raise my hand as one of the people who was like, just tell me what to do. I will go do it. I love a good direction. I love to know exactly what I'm supposed to do, and I will bust my rear end to go make that happen, right? That's how I lived most of my life and actually achieved quite a bit of success doing it that way. But what I can tell you for sure from the other side is that when you are truly showing up without doing that, and you just trust yourself and your gifts, and you sort of choose into who you really, really are, it is so much less work. It is so much easier. Everything, like almost to the point where you're like, is it real? How is it really this easy? And you get a little mad that you worked so hard for so long because it really is that easy. But we're conditioned and taught that it's supposed to be so much harder than it really is.
That is so true. We feel like it has to be hard.
Yes.
And that's how we know we're doing things and moving things forward. It has to be hard. And I love this shift in perspective that we can allow, and maybe it just doesn't have to be as hard and as draining and can be more full and flowing is beautiful.
Yeah.
So as we look at, what we sometimes face, especially those who like to strive and build and go-getters, and all of our personalities, we look at sometimes following the plan, doing stepping down the path that has been laid before us, or we think how it should be. And this pause, this opportunity to look at what could be, where we can show up more and be more of who we truly are with more flow and ease, playing to how we're made, not the way something else is built, but we get to play more to the way we're made. Why do we shrink back sometimes then from fully showing up in that way, fully being who we are? And how does love fit into that?
I love that question. So the reason we shrink back is the simplest answer is fear. Because we have been told at different points in our life, when we were ourselves, oh, don't do that, or oh, that's not ladylike, or oh, that's not appropriate, or that's not for you, probably by somebody that we loved and respected. And they weren't telling it to us to be mean. presumably, or to hurt us. It was more them trying to protect us and to keep us safe from, what they believed would hurt us if we did it. Right? When you think about the way people teach others, it's, I want to protect you from what I think is dangerous in the world. And so I want you to act a certain way so you will be liked and respected and considered successful. I'm going to show you everything that I know to do that. The problem is nobody knows your specific gifts, talents, or capabilities. And so anything that you're told is going to be through someone else's filter of the life they have lived. And so, for example, if my mother said to me, oh my gosh, don't dance in public. Like, that's super embarrassing. People are not going to respect you. That would come from a place of maybe somebody told her never to do that, and she thinks that's something that's really bad. But for me, it's my superpower. And that's actually how I inspire people to connect with their bodies. So everybody kind of has this different way of showing up, but we're afraid that if we really do the thing that makes us unique, we're going to be ridiculed for it or not liked for it. And belonging is a very, very inherently human trait. We all really do want to belong. And so I think that's why we shrink back. Love comes into play in that when you love yourself enough to trust your own capabilities and your own gifts, you start to choose yourself no matter what you're getting from the outside. You start to choose yourself no matter what messages tell you that maybe it's not enough or too much.
I love that, because you're right. You get both messages. And even from our mind will sometimes say that, where it's too much or not enough, or those are fears that we have. And I love this, that as we start to love ourselves more, really embrace more of who we are, then it's easier to choose who we are. And I really think the reasons that we're made differently it's on purpose. And it's because those differences are needed. And we miss out, and the world misses out when we shrink back, when we hold those differences away from others instead of bringing them forward and really sharing them out into the world. And I would love your perspective on that. Does it get easier? Does it get harder as we start to make those choices, or is there a starting place?
I think the more we do it, the easier it gets. I will admit that I still struggle with the tendency when I go to do something new to shrink a little bit. I constantly have to be in conversation with myself to not want to make it palatable, or to not think about what people are going to think when I do a thing. And that comes for me from a lot of messages of people telling me things aren't going to work, or why am I doing it that particular way? And so it gets easier, but I don't ever want to say it's easy, because when you're walking a path that is uniquely yours, it hasn't been walked before. And so it is the most rewarding path you can possibly walk. And yet it's difficult because you don't have anyone to look at that's done it exactly the way that you're going to do it. And so I think there's beauty in just acknowledging that and understanding that. For me, knowing that it's not going to look the way anyone else has done it gives me the freedom to continue to forge it in my own way. And so I think that's kind of, when you can accept it. I always giggle when people will be like, well, it's not going to be that bad. I always sort of say like, well, it might be, but we're going to do it anyway, right? Not being afraid of the fact that it might be challenging. And when you start to do it, it compounds. And so when you trust yourself and you hear yourself and you're like, you know what, this is something I really, really love and I want to do, and you do it, and it feels really, really good to you, and you trust yourself to do it again and again and again, then you do build the muscle to be less influenced by outside perspectives.
Thank you for sharing. And I love this. I'm picturing this momentum kind of building as a new path is forged. And I also thought, boy, if we can remember, oh, this is a new path, we're cutting new ground. It hasn't been done before this way. I think it gives us an opportunity to explore, to try things, to find, well, that didn't work. Okay, let's try it differently. Give ourselves grace and maybe even enjoy exploring this new terrain and new way of being, and not listening to as many of those voices about how it should look or the way it should be, but really discovering how it can be for us.
Yeah, I think that it's so tempting to look for people to tell us we're on the right path. That's how we survived the whole first part of our lives, was people being like, yeah, good job, you're doing this great. And we needed that, when we were little, or we looked for it. But the truth of the matter is that if you can tell yourself you're doing really well, and you're doing, even one baby step in the right direction is brave and awesome, and kind of a cool experiment, then you find the courage to take another step.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. We are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do so, listeners, I want you to think about some of what Kim has shared, this maybe shift in perspective of how we're looking at things, how we're talking to ourselves, what voices and thoughts we're listening to. And are we choosing more of who we are, or are we letting some of those voices and messages have a little more control in our life than perhaps we want to? Perhaps really serves us fully showing up in the magical and beautiful and gifted way that we are. We will continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
A little birdie told me Voice America is on X. Follow us at Voice America TRN.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Have you become a member yet? Sign up now to become a member of Voice America. It's always free and easy. Plus, you get to take advantage of some great member benefits. Get unlimited access to millions of hours of on-demand content across all of our channels. Keep track of your favorite episodes, shows, and hosts in your own customizable library. Find out what shows you might be interested in based on your favorites. Plus, you get insider access with our newsletter. Membership gives you more. Sign up at voiceamerica.com and click Register at the top right.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had an opportunity to just explore some of what was coming up within you as you reflected on what Kim has shared, some of the insights and perspectives. And I had something bubble up within me, and I just wanted to share that. And when I first got into doing speaking and motivational speaking, leading events, those types of things, I was really, really scared. I was a financial advisor. I was used to doing corporate speaking, and I had a PowerPoint and content and credentials I could stand behind and a uniform I'd wear. And so that was a role, in a sense, I played. But when I was called to start telling my own story and start speaking in a more personal way, I was really afraid. And it was a very new path. No one in our family had done that, and they were very afraid for me to step into that space. So one of the things I did is I hired this amazing coach. And I would fly down. It was one of the biggest investments I had made. And I would fly down to meet with this amazing expert to help me. And being a list maker and a go-getter, I had a list of things he needed to fix. In order for me, I'm laughing now. In order for me to, I was very serious though at the moment. I'm laughing now at it, but I would step in order for me to do this, he needed to fix these things. And the very top of the list was my laugh. Wasn't professional. You could hear it across the room. People would respond and react. And I knew that needed to be fixed if I was to show up in this arena effectively. And I gave him my list. It was a yellow notebook page with multiple things on the list. He listened, took it, and then set it down to the side. And he looked at me. He goes, Rebecca, oh, you're in finance, right? And I said, yeah. He goes, okay, let me share a little bit. And I was finally relieved because this was something I understood. He goes, okay, none of this touchy-feely stuff. He goes, okay, Rebecca, there are assets and liabilities. Oh, good, language I knew. He goes, so an asset when you're speaking, when you're presenting, is something that helps people remember you. You stand out. They know who you are. It lifts their spirits. It draws them in. It helps them connect. They can hear it across the room. That's an asset and becomes part of your signature imprint that you have. A liability is where it's something that limits what you're saying. It interferes. Maybe you have a weird tick on stage that undermines what your message is. Those are liabilities. Those are things that you need to look at and work on. He goes, your laugh goes in the asset column. If anything, do that more. It connects people. It makes them smile. It's something they remember about you. And I suddenly saw the world differently. And I laughed when I realized this thing I had been so uncomfortable with for so many years that I thought was weird and part of who I was actually a positive thing that was unique and part of what I could bring to the world. And I laughed. And I suddenly heard my grandmother's laugh and mine. And I realized where it had come from and what a gift she had given me. And so as we're listening to Kim share, that bubbled up with me. I had this weird perspective around that. And I would try to, talk slower, more at a lower tone and not laugh. And I found it held me back. But when I leaned in and embraced that part of myself, there was so much richness I could bring forward and joy. And I loved how when Kim came on the stage in the beginning, we were laughing in joy as we came together. And so I just think there are things about us that are unique, that are gifts that help us stand out, but we have a weird perspective around them. And Kim, I would just love your thoughts in response to that.
I love that story so much, Rebecca. It's a beautiful story. And also, it is such a great example of something that is such a gift that we often think for ourselves, is something that is a liability. Like your laugh, you have the most joyful, contagious laugh. I love your laugh. And I know your listeners are listening going like, but we love your laugh. You literally have one of the best laughs in the world. And yet for you, it was a thing that you were like, oh, I don't want to do that. And every single one of us has things like that. And it's one of those things where it's such a great moment to reflect on what are the things that I'm hiding or suppressing because I think they're too weird, or it makes me too much, or it makes me unlikable, or maybe not professional enough, right? Those things are your superpowers. And oftentimes it's the very things that we're hiding and keeping back that really, really allow us to shine in the biggest ways. And I have zero examples of exceptions to this. When I work with people, it's usually the things that they're like, oh my God, that thing, I can't let anyone see that thing. And it's the thing that differentiates them in the most phenomenal way. And so I think that it's a moment for people to really think about, like, what is the thing that I think is just a little bit too strange or weird? And what would happen if you actually allowed yourself to bring that forth, right? Like there are moments, of course, but I really, really, I love that for so many reasons. I think it's so important to understand that who you are as a whole is an asset, truly.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And I know behind the scenes, we were talking a little bit. And one of the things you mentioned was about whose voice are you listening to? And I'm not quite sure where that voice came that wasn't professional or okay. I just found suddenly it lost its power when the truth was presented to me. So I'm curious how we can explore that a little bit to help us maybe hear the truth versus that voice in our head that maybe we're listening to or others' voices.
Yeah. So it's interesting because most of the limitations that we live by were formed when we were very, very young. And what happens is we're not even aware that they're forming, they just do. And then we continue to live by them for the rest of our life. We find evidence to continue to just sort of allow it to be a truth. And if it goes unquestioned, we could live our entire life believing that this thing were true. And if we go back to the example of your laugh, you could have continued thinking that it was a liability and like intentionally made yourself not laugh on stage ever. And like you could have trained yourself to just take that out of your speech altogether had somebody not said to you, hey, that's actually a gift, right? Mm-hmm. And we all do that with different things because maybe when you were a little girl, you laughed out loud at some point and somebody looked at you and was like, your laugh is so weird. And truly, when we're little, that's all it takes. It doesn't have to be some big thing. It can be like a very little thing. Because when we're young, think about like little children and little people. Everything is a really big deal to kids. And that's the script. And so sometimes when you hear something being repeated, I had one that was, dancing is not professional and no one will take you seriously. Well, that was one of my parents' voices from when I was very young, when I always would say, I want to be a dancer on Broadway and that's what I want to do. And they'd be like, no, you're not going to do that. You're smart. You're going to do something else. Use your brain. That's how people will respect you. And I just believed that that was true. And I repeated it to myself over and over and over, but that voice isn't my voice. My voice knows I can dance and be creative and be respected. All of that is true for me, but it wasn't true for them. And so when we talk about whose voice it is, when you have these beliefs or these sort of phrasings that go over and over that stop you from doing what you really want to do, it sometimes is worth thinking about, when did I first hear that? And who said it? Is that still true for me? It's not like you don't have to love that person or respect that person, but genuinely somebody else's voice dictating what's going on in your head is oftentimes not going to lead you to do your highest, best work. And so that's what I mean when I say whose voice. And sometimes you just have a mean voice yourself that was meant to keep you safe when you were young, but that you don't need now. And so all of it deserves inquiry, right? Do I need this right now? I'm a grown-up. When I was 5, I need that voice to protect me so I wasn't embarrassed. But now I'm grown up. And do I really need to hold myself back from all these things? No, I really don't. I can choose differently.
Thank you. I love that. And that we can explore that and honor and bring forward what matters most to us. Now, one of the other things I thought, as we're looking at voices, you had mentioned in our earlier segment how when you're doing something new, you still sometimes can shrink back. And so there's a lot of talking to yourself that you do.
Yes.
And I'd love for you to share a little bit of that, because that would be really a valuable example that we can put in our toolbox when we are facing something new or perhaps find ourselves shrinking back a little bit for some reason.
Yeah, I would love to share this because I'm going to tell you what doesn't work and then I'm going to tell you what does.
Perfect.
Because what doesn't work is what I used to do, where I would kind of like beat myself up a little bit, like, come on, what's wrong with you? You can do this. You're better than this. And I'd like have this like tough girl voice where I'd kind of yell at myself, right, for being kind of a baby about it. And I'd like really be sort of hard on myself of like, you can do it, but like not in a very nice way. And what I found and learned from studying neuroscience a little bit as I was trying to figure out kind of how to rewire the brain and not have these beliefs dictate life forever is that when we are mean to ourselves, we're talking to the part of ourselves that is like still 5 years old. And so it's like talking to the youngest, most vulnerable part of yourself in those moments. And that really felt bad to me when I realized I'm yelling at my 5-year-old self. I don't want to yell at my 5-year-old self. That's not going to make her do what I need her to do in any way. That's just going to make her feel terrible. So I actually changed my approach and started being extraordinarily encouraging to myself. And I would say things like, hey, I know you're really scared. This is actually scary. We haven't done this before, but you know what? We can do this. We can do hard things. We do them all the time. Let's just try. And if it's really bad, we don't have to do it again. Or if we really don't like it, we can choose something else. But like, let's do this. We want to. We think it'll be cool. Let's just do it. And I talk to myself like that. And it's amazing how much calmer I feel when I go to do scary things with that kind of pep talk. And it really works. It's not like giving yourself some big ultimatum. You don't make the stakes really high. It's more just like how you would talk to a kid when you want to encourage them to try something. And it's amazing how you can help walk yourself through doing something you haven't done before with just that kind of language.
Thank you for sharing. I love that. And I don't want to be a bully and mean to my 5-year-old self.
I know,
that
so
feels
sad,
terrible.
Right?
I love that we can come alongside. And it even felt like we're doing this together. We're a team. I was hurt. I am scared. It's okay to be scared. And we can do this. And then how proud I'll feel discovering that and doing that. Like it feels so much better to be able to step through those more difficult or scary moments. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
I know you also have recently released a book. We were talking about that on our last time that we had you on. And I just wanted to take a moment and have you share a little bit about your #1 international best-selling book that was recently released and a little bit of what people can find in it, because I feel like a lot of what we've talked about today, they may want a resource to tap into to help them continue their journey.
Absolutely. The book is called Strategic Unruliness. And it is essentially, it's a leadership book, but not a leadership book. So it helps you identify all of the places, all the beliefs that keep you stuck, keep you holding back, kind of what we're talking about in terms of the things that are running silently in the background that you might not even realize are there, that are preventing you from living the life you truly want to live. And it gives a framework for being able to see them, but then also being able to challenge them and decide whether you want to continue being bound by them or whether you want to choose something else. And should you choose something else, there are ways to then move into kind of an expanded space where you get to build what's really meant for you and what's next. And so there's lots of exercises kind of as you walk through where you get to think about every single thing I talk about for yourself and make it very personal so that you can really use it as a tool to move into the next space of really getting to what's next.
Beautiful. And I feel like that getting to what's next is a way to really love and honor who we are, how we're made. And when we do that, we get to bring our own uniqueness to the world. And that's a gift to yourself and to those around us. So I'm so grateful for your book. I have it on my shelf that you are bringing forward, making available to people. We are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do so, listeners, I want you to think about what we have shared in this last segment and look at your note page where we started our conversation today. See what's coming forward, and we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Voice America is on LinkedIn. Connect with us today.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You need to live up to your full potential. You've heard that for years, but now there's a channel to help you get there. Introducing the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Our listeners have told us that they want to be motivated, hear about success stories, and positive encouragement around the clock. And we've responded to you. The Voice America Empowerment Channel is the home of the world's top life coaches, entrepreneurs, and success experts. Listen to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. It's here at voiceamericaempowerment.com.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Find out what makes the most successful people tick. Keep listening to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. voiceamericaempowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed those 2 minutes and that you have a page or two full of notes. I've been taking notes as we've been talking, as I look at fear, as I look at how I talk to myself. Am I showing up more? Just so many great things that Kim has shared and brought to light to really support us in bringing more of ourselves forward, loving ourselves even through those scary, stretchy moments, how to do that in a supportive way so we can be more of who we truly are and share that gift, the gift of you, with the world. And I've asked Kim, as she reflects back on our conversation, if she could just share any final thoughts that she has on her heart, something that you listeners can kind of take with you as you go back into the day. So Kim, we'd love to hear your share.
Absolutely. When I first started showing up with more of myself, I had this fear of like, who do I think I am? And, what is it that makes me worthy of being this bigger person and doing these things in a bigger way? And I want to share that because I really want you to know that if there's anything in you that makes you feel like you're not sure if you really should show up all the way, or if you can show up all the way, or what will happen if you do, I want you to know that you are so unbelievably loved and supported, and that anything that is in your heart to share or to be or to do is truly there for a reason. It's because it's meant for you. And no one else has to see it. You just have to see it and know that it's there. And that's where choosing yourself and loving yourself is your greatest asset. Because if you can choose it and you can trust it, even just little by little, you will have an opportunity to truly see what you're capable of in the biggest way possible. And I am just so cheering for each and every one of you to take baby steps toward doing that.
I'm just smiling ear to ear, leaning in, and looking forward to seeing all of our listeners lean in and share more of who they are with the world. What an amazing picture that creates for me, and what a powerful impact we can have heart by heart, life by life as we do that and love ourselves and love our lives and help love ourselves through the stretching and the growing and really being able to show up powerfully. So thank you, Kim, so much for sharing with us today. And I wanted to have you share a little bit more so that people can connect with you. They can go deeper, tap into some resources that you have available. So listeners, have your paper and pen ready, because I'm having her share this information on purpose and it's for you. So would you share the best way for people to connect, to go deeper? I'd also love for you to share the full title of your book, where they can get a copy if that's something that calls and pulls them as well, pulls on their heart.
Absolutely. Thank you for that opportunity. The book is called Strategic Unruliness: Break the Rules, Build What's Next. And it's available on Amazon. This is probably the easiest place to get it. And it's in paperback, it's in the ebook, and it's also in hard copy. So you can get it in any of those versions. And the best way to connect with me is through my website, which is www.kimbolourtchi, BOLOURTCHI.com. And you can also email me at kim@kimbolourtchi, BOLOURTCHI.com. You can follow me on LinkedIn. It's Kim Bolourtchi on LinkedIn. I do have next week on Wednesday, I'm doing a free Zoom where I'm working with the rules in real time. It's just an hour. It's free. It's from 5 to 6 Central on Wednesday. And we're going to be talking about the rule where we hesitate to speak and what happens and how it creates a ceiling when we really want to do bigger things in our life. And so I'd love for anyone who's interested to join. You can send me an email and I will send you the link, or you can get it through the website.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing all your contact information, how we can lean in and get a copy of your beautiful book, as well as what a beautiful training that you're going to be doing, and very timely for our conversation. I love that.
Absolutely.
So, listeners, I encourage you to lean in, take advantage of that opportunity. And she also has a lot of resources on her website as well that you can check out and lean into, even get on her list to follow her for other things that she'll be doing and bringing forward in other opportunities. So, encourage you to connect and go deeper. And I had another moment that really touched on my heart as we were going through a conversation today, and I just wanted to share that as well. When I did a lot of live events, I used to hand out flower pens, which are pens that have a silk flower on the top. And my grandmother on my mother's side used to make those, and she would do them for different seasons, and it was her way of kind of brightening the day. And so I started to do that at my events, and I looked at them a little bit differently. At the event, I would have all the attendees pick up the flower pen, and I had strategically put different ones around the room, trusting the right flower would go to the right person. And at some point during our event, I would have them pick up the flower pen and notice its beauty and its uniqueness and what its scent would be like, and really appreciate the beautiful flower in their hand. And then I would have them stand up and actually lift their flower pen up so we could all see it. And as they were admiring their flower, I said, notice the woman or the man holding, the person holding the flower is just as beautiful and just as unique. And sometimes we can see that in others and we don't see it in ourselves. And I said, and then what happens if some of you pull your flower pens down? And some were resistant. So I had to finally get them because they were embracing the beauty, which is wonderful. But I said, just for example, you can put it back up again, but can I have some of you bring your flowers down? And the moment they did that, you could suddenly see the garden of life became less vibrant. The space was still occupied. They were still standing there, but their uniqueness, their gifts, their beauty were suddenly snuffed out and missing in the world. And we all felt the impact. And then I would have them lean in and lift those flower pens high and what they represented. And you could feel that strength and that beauty even stronger when they would lift up the pens and support each other in doing that. So as you go out into the world, remember you're needed. The unique, beautiful, wonderful way that you're made is different than those around you, but that's on purpose. It's because your mix is needed. And I encourage you to be willing to lift it high, lift it proud, let the world see the gift, the uniqueness, the way you're made, the mix of who you are. That makes a big impact in the garden of life. That gives us an opportunity to touch other lives in a powerful way when we fully show up. And be kind to that 5-year-old self who may be shrinking back for a moment or not quite sure how to hold the pen high enough or just right, that together you can figure out that together what the best way is, how to hold that light up, how to hold that flower up. And as you go back out into the world today, take a few moments for you. Really digest, drink in what has been shared, what is pouring into your heart and spirit, and choose how you step forward. The day does not get to be in charge. You do. And I hope you choose to bloom where you're planted and shine. Share that gift of who you are out into the world. Have an amazing week, everyone, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter, next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel. Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.